Sarah's fingers trembled with excitement as she flipped open the first double page of the Tome of Mythos. Her eyes widened at the sight of a detailed pirate map of the world. She had never imagined the world to be so vast, so full of uncharted territories and mysterious lands. It was a map unlike any she had ever seen, with intricate illustrations of sea monsters, winding trade routes, and distant islands. On the next page, her breath caught as she saw a neat handwriting, unmistakably belonging to Captain Cedric Ironheart himself. The date read July 22nd, 1667. She brought the candle closer and began to read, the words coming to life before her eyes. July 22nd, 1667. We docked our ship, the Eternal Wanderer, in Port Royal today, after another successful venture through the Caribbean seas. The crew, as always, was eager to spend their share of the plunder, seeking out the taverns and brothels that promised a night of revelry and debauchery. As for me, I found myself drawn to the nearest brothel, but not for the pleasures it offered. The brothel was bustling with the familiar chaos of laughter, music, and the clinking of tankards. I sat in the corner, nursing a drink and contemplating the treasures we had amassed. Gold and jewels filled the hold of my ship, but they no longer brought me the satisfaction they once did. I yearned for something more, something beyond the tangible wealth I had grown so accustomed to. As I sat there, an old man caught my eye. He wore a broad-brimmed straw hat, a pipe clenched between his teeth, and a wooden cane in his right hand. In his left, he held a bottle of dark rum. His gait was unsteady, but there was a strange vitality in his movements. I watched him wobble towards the door, but in the next blink, he was gone. An inexplicable urge compelled me to leave my drink unfinished and rush out into the busy streets of Port Royal. The streets were alive with the peak of pirate times. Merchants hawked their wares, sailors staggered drunkenly, and the scent of salt and spices filled the air. The cacophony of voices and the clatter of horse-drawn carts created a symphony of disorder. I moved through the throng, searching for the old man who had vanished so suddenly. As I was about to pass another house, I noticed in the corner of my eye an open area among the buildings where children were playing. In the middle of the open space, the old man sat on a low stone edge, surrounded by laughing children who called him Papa Legba as they danced around him. The old man laughed heartily, his eyes twinkling with mirth. I approached, unable to shake the feeling that this encounter was fated. The old man's gaze met mine, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. "Come closer, Captain," he said with a mischievous smile. "I know about your heartache." I was taken aback. "How could you possibly know that?" I asked, my voice tinged with suspicion. "Your eyes betray you," he replied. "You have achieved much, yet your heart remains unfulfilled. You seek something beyond gold and jewels." I nodded slowly, his words resonating with the emptiness I felt inside. "Yes," I admitted. "I have sailed the seas, gathered countless treasures, but still, it feels like something is missing." Papa Legba's smile widened. "There exists a treasure that you truly seek, a treasure that cannot be held in your hands, but will fill the void in your heart. It is a journey that will take you beyond the edges of this map, into the realms of myth and legend." "Tell me more," I urged, feeling a flicker of hope. "Patience, Captain," he said, tapping his cane on the ground. "The path you must follow is not an easy one. It requires more than courage and strength. It requires wisdom and an open heart. But I can guide you if you are willing to listen." I leaned in closer, my curiosity piqued. "I am willing. What must I do?" Papa Legba's eyes gleamed as he watched the children play. "Children are the future of everything, Captain," he said, his voice tinged with a deep reverence. "Born out of love, out of family. They carry the hopes and dreams of generations." I listened closely, intrigued by the old man's words. There was a wisdom in his voice that resonated with a truth I couldn't quite grasp yet. "But there is a being," Papa Legba continued, his tone darkening. who threatens the very essence of family and the precious lives of children. Her name is Lilith. Lilith, I repeated, the name rolling off my tongue with an eerie familiarity. She was the first wife of Adam, Papa Legba began, his eyes distant as if seeing through time. Created from the same soil as Adam, she was meant to be his equal. But Lilith, in her insolence, refused to be subservient to her husband. She left Adam and the perfection of the Garden of Eden, choosing exile over submission. What happened to her? I asked, my interest piqued. 3 angels tried to force her return, he said, shaking his head. But Lilith's will was unyielding. She found her place on a dark, small island in the Caribbean, where she has been collecting knowledge and power ever since. She despises children, seeing them as the embodiment of what she rejected, family and subservience. The thought of such a being sent a chill down my spine. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, sensing there was more to the story. "Because Lilith possesses a powerful artifact," Papa Legba revealed, his eyes narrowing. "An artifact that could fill the empty space in your heart. It allows the person whose name it bears to travel the world and through time." My interest was fully captured now. "And you believe I can take it from her?" "Yes," Papa Legba said with a nod. "But even Lilith has a weakness. She cannot bear to reflect on herself, to see the truth of her existence." He reached into his robes and produced a small, ornate mirror. "This mirror," he explained, "has the power to capture the one looking into it. Use it wisely, Captain." I took the mirror carefully, wrapping it in a cloth and tucking it into my coat. "Tell me more about this island," I urged. "How do I find it?" Papa Legba's gaze turned towards the horizon. "It is a place shrouded in darkness, where the waters grow cold and the air is thick with despair. Lilith resides there with her children, succubi and incubi, creatures of seduction and deceit." I nodded, absorbing his words. "And what must I do once I reach the island?" "Be cautious," Papa Legba warned. "Lilith is cunning, and her children are dangerous. Use the mirror to your advantage, but remember, Captain, this journey will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine. Your heart and mind must be strong." I felt a surge of determination. "I will do it," I declared. "I will find Lilith and take the artifact." Papa Legba smiled, a mix of approval and sadness in his eyes. "Then your path is set, Captain Ironheart. May the spirits guide you on your journey." With that, I left the old man and the children behind, heading back to my ship with a renewed sense of purpose. The quest for Lilith's artifact would be the greatest challenge of my life, but I was ready to face it head-on. August 3rd, 1667. After 12 days and 12 nights at sea, a crew member in the crow's nest called out just as the sun was setting. On the horizon, shrouded in dark mists, was the silhouette of a small island. We had found it at last, the lair of Lilith. Navigating the treacherous waters surrounding the island proved challenging, but after nearly a full day, we managed to anchor in a small lagoon, the only safe haven that didn't threaten to rip our ship apart. The island exuded an air of foreboding, and I knew this was just the beginning of the treacherous path toward Lilith and her magical artifact. Commanding my crew to remain aboard, I set out alone. The mirror was safely tucked inside my shirt, its weight a constant reminder of the perilous task ahead. The island was silent save for the distant cries of unseen creatures, and I moved cautiously towards the foot of a mountain where a dark cave beckoned. Outside the cave, perched on the rocks, were the most beautiful women I had ever seen. Their eyes glowed with a dangerous allure, and their skin shimmered like moonlight. They were succubi, and even in their stillness, they exuded an aura of pure danger. As I approached, the succubi began to move, swirling around me with a predatory grace. They whispered sweet temptations, their voices a haunting melody meant to seduce me off my path. "Where do you go, brave captain?" One of them purred, her breath hot against my ear. "I seek your mother, the most beautiful of you all," I replied, keeping my voice steady. Another succubus, her hair cascading like liquid midnight, traced a finger down my chest. "Why seek her when we are here for you?" "I bring her a gift," I said, pulling out the wrapped mirror from inside my coat. "A gift that will allow her to see the true beauty residing in her soul." The succubi's eyes widened with curiosity and greed. They believed my words, their desire for power outweighing their suspicion. With seductive smiles, they led me into the cave, their movements graceful and fluid. The cave was dark and damp, the air thick with an ancient, unsettling energy. In the middle chamber, illuminated by an eerie, unnatural light, sat Lilith. She was breathtaking, a beautiful woman with flowing black hair, wearing a horned crown and possessing the wings of a bird. Her eyes were dark and fathomless, holding centuries of knowledge and malice. "So you have come," Lilith said, her voice a mix of honey and venom. "I have," I replied, bowing slightly. "I've heard tales of your beauty and power, and I wish to see it for myself. I brought you a gift, something that will reveal even more of your magnificence." Lilith's eyes narrowed slightly, but vanity and curiosity won over suspicion. "Show me," she commanded. With practiced calm, I unwrapped the mirror and presented it to her. "This mirror," I said, "holds the power to reflect your true essence. It shows the beauty and strength within." Lilith took the mirror, her fingers brushing against mine. For a moment, I feared she would see through the ruse, but her arrogance blinded her to the danger. She gazed into the mirror, and in a series of sharp, blinding flashes, the magic took hold. Lilith screamed, a sound that echoed through the cave as she was sucked into the mirror. The mirror fell from her grasp, shattering on the stone floor. The succubi and incubi around us shrieked in agony, their forms dissolving into black smoke that dissipated into the air. I stood alone in the now silent cave, my heart pounding. Everywhere I looked, treasures lay scattered, jewels and gold I had seen before. Yet, in the throne where Lilith had sat, a small golden medallion glinted in the dim light, almost calling to me. I reached out and picked it up, but the medallion burned my hand, forcing me to drop it. As it lay on the ground, glowing red-hot, letters began to etch themselves into its surface. Cedric Ironheart. My name. The artifact had accepted me as its new bearer, its power now mine to command. As I slipped the cooled medallion into my coat, I felt a surge of triumph and anticipation. This was just the beginning of a new and even greater adventure. How did Sarah find the fabled Tome of Mythos? Who was Captain Cedric Ironheart? And what did he leave behind for Sarah to find? Watch this video to find out. If you like this mythical story with a breath of fiction in it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and mostly hit the bell so you don't miss more adventures of our captain.